branches in every village which has a population more than 2,000. And these may not be in the form of a brick and mortar bank branch. It is through the banking correspondents who happen to be the links between a bank branch and the villages to make them understand about the banking facilities. And from foreign exchange angle, we are also having the FEMA exhibitions and interface sessions with the common members of the public, with students. Recently we have held this exhibition in Bangalore. I'm sorry we have missed out this college. We had invited the students from many colleges where they were exposed to sort of all information about the foreign exchange availability of the different rules and regulations, and they also took part in an interactive session with our executive director who happened to grace the occasion that day. So in future also we'll be holding such exhibitions, and we'll always put up a notice in the newspapers. So all of you are invited to those future exhibitions which you may come to know through newspapers. And also we will be inviting colleges to send their students like we did last time. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I have always heard like $1 is equal to 45 rupees. So, can I ever see an Indian rupee equal to $45?
No, normal way of expressing foreign currency exchange rate is the Indian unit, the home unit, to the foreign unit. No, sorry, I told the other way. It is the dollar to rupee.
Morning, ma'am. As you told about these fictitious email IDs and all those things, can't the government and RBI take any kind of action to restrict that, to avoid those things?
Yes, definitely. RBI is taking action, because one part of this action is spreading public awareness about these fictitious emails, because we have seen that the money goes into some Indian account which has been opened in the normal way, but then that account is just opened for receiving the money and it gets closed the next day. It is deposited because the money is withdrawn and it disappears. So to catch people, it is very difficult. Even the police have been taken into confidence and cybercrime cells have been sensitized about these problems. But the best way is to spread awareness, to make people understand that these are fictitious mails. But we are working with the police, so whenever anybody receives such mail, you can immediately bring it to our notice so that we can follow up with what accounts are those. Because normally the money is asked to be deposited in an Indian account. So we can investigate into that account. You can bring it to us notice, and if unfortunately you have lost money, you should immediately lodge an FIR with the police station. They will take it up from there. Recently you may have read in the newspapers, not very recent, that 2 people were arrested in Hotel Leela Palace. It was the same case. They had sent emails to a person and offering money, and that person lodged an FIR, and they went and caught him there itself.
Madam, recently RBI hiked the interest rates, but the food inflation also is going up. So how RBI will tackle this issue?
See, RBI can tackle the inflation if it is a demand pull. If the inflation is due to excess demand, so from that angle, by affecting the interest rate, creating of credit, we can affect to bring down the demand, and so that the price does not rise further. But if it is a supply constraint, most of our food inflation is due to supply constraint, in the sense that our food pattern has changed over the last few years, because in the change we have, our income has increased, our food pattern has changed from the earlier pattern. It is not the basic cereals which are in demand. Now there is a high protein demand of much more specialized items which we are now getting from abroad, or we have come to take, say, you can understand from your own variety of breakfast cereals that you are having, or different type of protein items that you are getting. So those items we are dependent on the imports, and if there is, again, if it is imported from abroad, we have to, nothing can be done about the price there. So we have to increase the production of those items in India, which is a time-taking affair. So to that extent, we will not be able to, however high we do, it will not be effective in that sense. So the point is, this inflation has to be fought along with the government, who can do about increasing the production as such.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Godwin from the Department of Managed Studies. Ma'am, my question is, we all read about the financial crisis what Greece is going through. So my question is, what is RBI doing to prevent it in India?
What Greece is facing is a type of crisis where its external debt position is extremely high, and the government is failing to repay that debt. So when the sovereign debt goes unrepaid, the condition of the confidence in that country as well as in that currency goes down worldwide. In India, we are not facing that type of crisis, in the sense that our external debt position is say round about 18% to the GDP. There it is almost equal to their GDP, or if not, I don't have the statistics exactly. So that is why our controls on the capital side will prevent that our external debt doesn't go to that level that we are not able to repay it back. So our position is different. So we do not have much concern about that. But then, of course, we are on the watch. We will take steps if required. But thankfully, we are not in that position right now.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Suraj from Department of Commerce. I want to know in general, what are the measures taken by RBI to control the fake notes? Even though few measures are taken, still there is much transmission of those notes. So what are the future plans for that?
Let me make it clear to you. We are the currency managers. Please sit down. We are the currency managers of the country. We are responsible for issuing fresh currency into the economy. But as far as fake currency is concerned, it is a matter of the government of India. It is the security concern that foreign infiltrators are bringing in fake currency here and sort of trying to undermine the value of our own currency. Frankly speaking, RBI cannot do anything about it, except that whenever any instance is reported, or it is on the lookout, that if there is any report, any market intelligence report that fake currency in circulation is, we just seize it and we report to the police authorities. Basically, it is the government's job, not RBI. RBI will just see that fresh notes, what we call as a clean note policy, that if the regular currency gets soiled, it has to be withdrawn and fresh notes have to be injected into the economy. But for fake currency, Reserve Bank does not have the mandate or the power to control it. It is the work of the government.
Morning, ma'am. I am Vikas from Department of Managed Studies. Ma'am, as you said, foreign direct investments should be invited for long-term investment to bring in new technology. But ma'am, as we have seen during the recession 2007, when recession came, foreign direct investors have taken back money a lot. So it affected our economy a lot. So should we depend more on FDI?
No, actually, foreign capital that comes in is divided into two parts. One is FDI, that comes as equity shares, subscription to equity shares. And another part is the portfolio investment, which the FIIs come and buy shares in the exchange market, foreign stock exchange market. So it is the secondary market which gets affected if there is any crisis elsewhere. Money flows out in the portfolio investment sector. FDI as such, there is no withdrawal of FDI in the sense that equity shares are sold and then they are withdrawing. It is the secondary market. So that is why we always encourage FDI and discourage portfolio investment comparatively. Although we invite capital, but comparatively we give more concessions for FDI rather than portfolio investment, which is what we call the hot money. It can come in today just like in any other stock exchange share market. If the condition is not going, you start selling your shares that way.
Demand.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Rakin from Department of Management Studies. My question is, rural banks in the village are not much developed with technology and other basic things. So, how will they support the people in the rural area?
Fine. See, all the rural banks, RRBs, are sponsors of commercial banks. Now, commercial banks have been computerized. Now, we have given it, delegated it to the commercial bank who is sponsoring the RRB to computerize it. So, it may take time, but we are working towards it that the rural banks are also computerized. And besides this, as I told you, we are working on the model of the banking correspondence. That means they may not be a bank in the village itself, a branch in the village as such, but there will be a banking correspondent. Correspondent in the sense it can be an ordinary kirana shop owner who is having a shop there. He will act as a liaison between the main bank in say some district level with the villages population. So even he will be given a handheld device where he can key in all the receipts and the payments that are being made through him. So that way we are trying to spread the banking facilities to the grassroots level. It's an ambitious target. Our this financial inclusion program is a very ambitious target that all villages in India which has a population of more than 2,000 should have a banking facility. It may take time and people also have to be convinced to come forward and have an account with the bank. But then there is a big question. We may insist that the commercial banks go and give accounts, open accounts for the people, but they should have something to put in the accounts also. So to create the job opportunities, Reserve Bank can't do anything. It is for the government or the social NGOs, etc., who can take this facility. Yes, banking facility is there, some loan facility is there, but there has to be some other medium through which they can be taught skills to self-help groups can be formed or some vocational training can be given to them. That the banking side will not take care. So it is a effort both by the banks as well as the government organizations to create job opportunities so that they have money to put into those accounts. Otherwise, we will be opening the no-frills account with a minimum amount and it won't be operative. So from our side we are trying, but then we expect equal cooperation from the government side also.
Good morning, ma'am. My question is, this is actually really old news, but when the Anna Hazare campaign was going on, black money came up, and the money which is stuck in the Swiss banks, this issue was raised again. Should we and how can we bring it back? Your personal stand on this.
I consider myself too small an entity to speak on such a huge issue. Black money coming back to India. See, let us start from the way how it goes out of India. Earlier, I've told you we have liberalized. We don't question when money, foreign exchange is going out or coming in. But we have now what we know is as the PML Act, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act, and in compliance to the requirements under this act, we do keep a tab on any foreign currency transaction outward. Where is the money going, for what purpose it is going? So the remitter or the recipient has to declare from whom the money is going or to whom the money is going, for what purpose, etc. And this information, the details of the remitter or the recipient abroad has to come through the banking channel, through SWIFT message to the banking channel in India. So to keep a track where the money is moving. But then of course, there is always a loophole. We have found cases where, suppose I have said I have imported $100 worth of goods, but when I'm making the payment, I am sending out $200. Now, unless there is a connect between, or there is a close watch that yes, there is $100 goods coming in and $100 should be going out, instead that $200 are going out. Now, for what purpose is that extra 100 going? It can be a way of sending out money, unaccounted money, to be kept in some Swiss bank. So the vigilance has to be on part of the channel through which it is going. We have told the commercial banks, and time and again we are also inspecting it during our regular inspections, that to match the underlying goods or the software or the invisibles which are being traded. Value for that only can go in, go out or come in. Otherwise, these are easy loopholes. Many a times we have found that money has come in the form of FDI, but then after some time they say we want to return it. Because we could not issue shares, there was some business dispute and we want to send it out. Now, how do we actually go into it, whether it is this money going out for this purpose? We are dependent on the declaration of the companies itself, and also the information that we get about the recipients abroad through the banking channel. But there is another agency called the Directorate of Enforcement, where any sort of money laundering activity, if there is any suspicion, banks cannot prove it because they cannot go and look into the books of the companies. They don't have that mandate, neither does RBI have it. But of course, if there is any suspicion that some money laundering is maybe taking place through a normal looking transaction, that report should go to what is known as the Financial Intelligence Unit in Delhi, FIU, or it can be reported through what is known as the Suspicious Transaction Report to the appropriate authorities. DOE moves in if there is any suspicion, if RBI reports or if the commercial bank reports that here is a normal looking transaction but we are not being able to, we have a suspicion that some black money may be going out. That way the DOE will then move in to investigate further. They can search the premises of the company, can seize their records and come out with the actual position. I hope that answers your question. It's a very large issue. Even the government cannot tackle it fully. First of all, it must have the will to tackle because everybody is involved. So it must first have the will. Yes, it is for the citizens of the country who should come up against this, who should force the government to take measures. Now it is having a dialogue with the Swiss banks that you have to reveal. Earlier when the money used to come in, often the banks say that we are not getting the KYC details. KYC details is nothing but the particulars of the remitters because the money happens to come through a Swiss bank. They says we are not supposed to disclose. Then we have told the Indian investors, if your money is being routed through that bank, we are not going to accept it. You get it through a normal bank elsewhere, or if it is coming through a Swiss bank, you please instruct your overseas party to allow the bank or to tell the bank to remit the details here. So that way, if there is a political will, it can be done. But Reserve Bank or any other bank cannot do it on its own. Government has to come into the picture. And you as young citizens, what I told you about ethics should be there in all the corporate dealings. So when you go out into the world, bring about a change so that there is no black money as such.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Saina from the Department of Economics. My question is regarding the status of dollar as the international currency. So don't you think this international currency status gives US an unfair advantage over other countries?
Definitely, it gives. Even if US economy is in doldrums, we still have a sort of unfailing faith in the dollar. But now there is a slow sign where people are moving out from the dollar denominated foreign assets into other currencies. Japanese yen is there, Euro, of course, right now is in a very bad shape, but other currencies are also coming into the picture. But it will take a long time, and US being the superpower, I think it will take some action which again reverts it back to the US currency.
And is it the oil pricing in dollar that gives dollar its international currency status?
Yes, basically, from any controller's point of view, we do not have any problems if you want to denominate your invoice in yen or in any other currency. We just say that the money should come Indian rupees, it should be convertible into Indian rupees. But it is the mindset of the business parties that they prefer to denominate in US, because US is still the dominating economy. No other economy has been able to match the position of US, although it is right now in per se it is not in a good position. Unless the companies or the countries as such have faith in some other currency, that they are confident enough to denominate in that currency, this problem will be there. Definitely it gives an unfair advantage to US economy.
Why is it still in existence? When US was the strongest economy, it was justifiable to make its currency as the world currency. But now it is...
There has to be an alternative currency in which they will denominate. Right now there is no currency as such. So they are they have no other option. Once they have the option, I think it will move out. But that time is not yet.
Last question. Good morning, ma'am. I'm Conan Martin from MCM department. As foreigner, I receive money, but I'm facing a lot of restriction of transferring money. After approaching my bank and others finance institution, they say that this rule is decided by Reserve Bank of India. So I would like to know what is the reason behind that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question. Are you facing problem in opening an account here?
No, I'm facing a restriction of transferring money.
Transferring money.
Yeah.
You are transferring money, you have an account here.
Yes.
And you are wanting to transfer money to your account in your own home country?
Yeah, in my country as well as in Europe also.
Can you tell me from which part of the world you are coming from?
From Ivory Coast in West Africa.
Ivory Coast, okay. So have they given you any reason why it is not possible?
Yeah, many times when I ask them, they say that rule is decided by Reserve Bank of India.
Let me tell you, friends, the commercial banks use this excuse very often that RBI doesn't allow it. Even if we have no instructions, they will always make that excuse, RBI doesn't allow it. So if you are facing a problem, I will have to examine which bank is it. So you can refer this to us via an email. If you want, the email address is fedbangalore@rbi.org.in. Please give your details, which bank is it, and we will be glad to examine your issue. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. No duty is more